Good morning. Welcome to San Juan Island Preppers, also known as Aries Sky Rita Lee. I'm Aries Sky, also known as Crabbing McCoffee. I'm your host today. And welcome to the Rita News Network. So today we are going to be going over some news for you all. So here's how it's going to work for the new updated formats. I'm going to be doing smaller videos for you throughout the night and larger videos when I get and have my fill of coffee, okay? So, here at the Rita News Network, we're going to go through the news, okay? In world news, I've given you the link already, and we're going to go up, okay? This happened over 22 hours ago. So, apparently it's a facade of Putin's rule that he can't maintain the war. Well, you know what? Don't underestimate him. That's what I'm going to say, because a lot of people don't realize that he could still use a nuclear bomb on us. Yeah. So apparently a Chechen leader aligned with Putin says he wants to create his own private military company. Oh, that's interesting. So he wants to create something like the Wagner Group. Again, they're getting mowed down. I think the death toll is death toll and wounded combined is over like 300,000. So, top House Republicans call on Biden to increase military support. You see, this is something that's very interesting, and, there's a lot of them that say we need to continue it. A lot of the MAGA Republicans, okay, I'm just going to say this, MAGA Republicans don't want it. They think America last is what they're saying. Well, in some ways, I'm going to basically get to that article soon enough, so stay tuned for that. U.S. fears China may give Russia lethal support. Well, you know what? They can fear it all they want, because frankly, I'll tell you. Truth is, you need to prep, because this is the headlines for today. And what would you say if China sent weapons? I mean, look, let's be realistic here. Let's be realistic here for 1 second, my fellow worldodians and Americans. I'm an American first myself. Fortunately, that there says fears, right? What happens to China? China, basically, they're fearing China because we've already had almost 30 coalition countries supply money and weapons to Ukraine. And yet, the question to you guys is, what's going to happen in the future? I say we shouldn't even worry about China. I mean, we're already supplying Ukraine with Russia, so why should we play what's that word that Chloe would use? The hypocrisy card? The hypocrisy card is they're hypocrites. If we say you can't send weapons to China, you can't send weapons to Russia for Ukraine, and yet we're doing it with 30 other nations. I mean, what is the hypocrisy, right? It is there. So that's something I want to share with you, but I also know that you guys, forgot to mention, for you new people, please add and like and subscribe. For you and give the thumbs up. For you comer backers, welcome. School is in session. So I'm doing a new format, okay? And the new format's pretty good. And the new format is they're basically being hypocrites. All right, so let's just continue down the list. Russian shelling kills 3 in Ukraine. Okay, that's interesting. 3 dead. Okay, let's just move along. U.S. ambassador to UN says China would cross red line providing lethal aid to Russia. Really, again, I mean, we're only on the tip of the iceberg right now of the news, and I'm going to literally say we're on a red line. I'll give you my red line. My red line for you people is this. If you don't prep, and you don't prep, and you don't prep, my red line is, hold on, let me go to edit for the topic real quick. I think yeah. So we're going to be talking about my favorite topic, prepping. If you're not going to be prepping people, then basically the whatchamacallit's going to have problems this morning. You see, let me explain what happens. Okay, as a prepper, you got to prep. But if you go past the point of no return, my red line is when there's no food and no supplies and nuclear war is imminent, my red line is if you don't prep, then I got a couple other things to share with you as well. So let's get it out of the way real quick. A news article. It says more preppers are basically leaving the prepping literally due to the fact of worried about the future. I'll look for that link again, but basically what it's saying is a lot of preppers are leaving, and a lot of people that believe in the preppers are leaving because nothing's going according to plan. And to me, have you seen one guy's on nuclear war, another guy's talking about politics, which apparently I feel semi sad for him because he's been dinged a few times on the algorithm, and then the third guy basically, so anyways, let's continue, shall we? So it says the Ukrainian is inflicting extremely tangible losses on Russian troops. Really, yeah, 2 people injured after Russian shelling of Dnipropetrovsk. And then they're talking about him, the crimes against humanity. I think it's basically things like rape and murder and pillage. Which happens in every country that goes to war, pretty much, You see what they're trying to do with the crimes of humanity? They're trying to get the war crimes and everything else. They're trying to basically trump up something so they can go into, that's my own opinion. It's not the news's opinion, but you get the idea from the headlines. So the other news 17 hours ago is Biden's heading to Poland. Right, that's nice. Like we care about President Biden going to Poland. So basically, Vladimir Zelensky hours in the invasion, yada, 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 But yeah, and the only reason why Ukraine has gotten this far in the war, and even Chloe agrees, Zelensky is a freaking mooch. Zelensky is the biggest mooch in the world. My dog mooches, but you don't see him mooching for tanks and airplanes, no. Literally, the president says we got our back, we got Ukraine's back. Yeah, all right. That means we are basically literally saying we will be spending more money. U.S. side is not qualified to lecture on China, would never accept the U.S. dictating or even coercion president a Sino-Russian release. Let me just put it this way. It's not our job to dictate. We're not the police of the world. Unfortunately, China's right about it. My problem is I'm not a China or a Russian sympathizer. I don't sympathize with any party. I'm just an American speaking my mind. Yeah, and that is what's going on, right? I mean, literally, it's getting to the point where Ukraine's going to be closing out for today's news for tomorrow. So, then, you got the updates. Biden went to Ukraine. Biden did this in Ukraine. Biden said this. I mean, literally, the $500 million going to Ukraine, right? I'm sorry to say, but he's just going to write a blank check, There was a couple congressmen that were talking about him writing blank checks. I'd like President Biden to write me a blank check for $500 million. I could retire somewhere nicely on an island in the South Pacific.
Where are you going to go, Samoa?
You see, my thing is it's a joke, but if he's writing rubber checks out for us, the taxpayers, to be burdened with it, then, I'd like some of that money too. And by the way, Vladimir Zelensky, if you didn't notice in the background, is living in a big mansion, a palace, a Ukrainian palace. So to make the news more interesting, Yeah, I've already spoke about all this stuff on my Rumble, but just to make it interesting, other world leaders, blah blah blah. Yeah, if you look at this picture here of Biden, he's like gritting the chair and he's looking like he's got to take a dump. You can tell he's either angry or he's really got to take a massive crap. I mean, literally, think about it. I mean, it looks like he's just sitting there. Yeah, I know what Higgins is watching. Is probably wanting to find the picture himself. So President Biden is guaranteed $500 million, and yet we're getting there. We're about 40% done with the news for today. We don't want to talk about this. He had to fly over the Clever night. Of course he did it. And then he says, a couple hours before he lands in Ukraine, get this is funny. He tells President Putin he's going to Ukraine. Apparently, he tells the president of Russia, he's going to Ukraine. They're not to do anything. The security is really tight. Sorry to say, but, and then Biden declares Putin's war of conquest is following remarks from Kyiv. Remember what I said on Rumble, if you guys are a Rumble subscriber. And since I'm covering these news articles, I can actually speak a little bit, somewhat freely to say that what the United States is probably doing, and this is just a theory I have, it's not facts, so I'm giving you the warning now, the PSA, the public service announcement, that this is pretty much a bunch of BS that in the public service announcement it's a theory I have. So let me just tell you my theory is they're going to paint a target on our back, basically, thinking that Russia's weak. Russia's not weak. That thing, Russia's got nukes. We got nukes. Think about it. Conquest? Yeah, Russia's weak. Russia's weak. No, Russia's not weak. Russia is not weak. And then the news has to clutter up the feed with Biden and Ukraine. Personally, I don't give two craps about Biden, because it's worthless news. What we need to know is where's the debt ceiling going to be raised, and why aren't you guys prepping like your life depends on it? Because, I have a great podcast I'm working on for today's episode of episode 26 of the San Juan Island Prepper podcast. I think you guys should listen to it. I will leave a link, So it says right here, the results of Biden visiting, it will have repercussions on the battlefield. We know this already. And then, not only did Kyiv not fall, but Kyiv is busting in the capital almost a year after the Russian invasion. I saw a report this morning, right, that made me laugh. All these Russians, right, fighting said, well, you know what? It doesn't matter if Biden's in the capital of Kyiv, because the capital of Kyiv is part of the Russian Federation. I'm sorry to say, but I will stand by Ukraine in that aspect and say they're a sovereign country. These right-wing radical Putinists, or these Putinists, this is why I want you to prep, a lot of these people are saying, it's a more memorable day, yada, yada, yada. So Biden's already announced an additional $500 million, including more ammunition and howitzers. But how are we going to get the ammunition fast enough? You see, there's a story about ammunition. Yeah, I'll be getting to that soon. But, this is pretty interesting. This war is getting real. And because of it, think about the American people. We don't want this war. Oh, I forgot, apparently, if I say that, I might get, whatever, but still, I'm going to talk about that soon. Because frankly, I'll tell you what I think, look, pro-military bloggers criticize Moscow over, right? This is where I was talking about, right? Yeah. Yeah, one says it is worth recalling the U.S. president visited their puppets in Vietnam, Iraq, and Afghanistan. We all know how it ended for the United States, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Almost a year after the beginning of the special military operation, we were waiting in the Russian city of Kyiv. Russian city, really, Russian city. That's funny because I believe Ukraine is their own sovereign nation. So I thought I'd share that with you too. And then some of the other things, clear sign of U.S. commitment. Remember, I said earlier in the video, earlier video this morning, that we've dug our feet in, and to me, Biden said, "Oh, America stands behind you." Well, I'm an American. I don't stand behind the war. Mm-hmm. I'd like to ask you guys a serious question here. Well, since we're talking about this news article in general, my question to you is, how many Americans stand by the Ukrainian war? I might do a poll on that, actually, just to see, because frankly, I don't think my father-in-law supports the Ukrainian war, but I don't. Why? Because I don't know why we're spending billions of dollars on a war just to aggravate a Russian bear. And by the way, I'm an American bear, so technically I can understand Vladimir Putin, but, All right, so the next article is very interesting. Marjorie Taylor Greene made a statement today. Thank you, Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't like her, but I'm going to give her kudos for standing up for my rights as an American. Mm-hmm. And she says Biden's trip is incredibly insulting. Yeah, pretty much, demonstrates the America's last policy. Yeah, again, that's what I was trying to get at earlier. Incredibly insulting today on President's Day. Joe Biden, the president of the U.S., chose Ukraine over America. Yeah. America to pay, forcing the American people to pay for Ukraine's government and war. Yeah, well, Vladimir Zelensky apparently lives as a dictator. Think about it. I cannot express how much Americans hate Joe Biden, Greene said in a tweet. Well, I don't hate Joe Biden. I just don't like him. And I don't like the Republican candidates either. My thing is I'm giving kudos for Marjorie Taylor Greene for one standing up and saying, look, Greene was one of the 11 House Republicans who co-sponsored a Ukraine fatigue resolution earlier this month. It called for suspending military and financial aid. But apparently, as you know, other House Republicans used Biden's trip to criticize Biden for prioritizing Ukraine defense over domestic policy. You see, let me just tell it as is, okay? And this is a theory I have. So again, it's not misinformation. It's just a theory I have, which is the American people aren't being told why we're going to war, and yet the war machine keeps pushing for it to make money, I think. That's just the theory I have. Breathtaking that President Biden can show up in Ukraine and ensure their border is secure, but can't do the same for America. So it takes 2 years for Joe Biden, POTUS, to visit the war zone he created at southern border, but then he goes to see another war zone he created in Ukraine. North Carolina, Greg Murphy said. Despite the criticism, some House Republicans, other have urged President Biden to increase support for Ukraine. Again, one guy, the House Foreign Affairs Chairman, Representative Mike McCall, said on CNN State of the Union in an interview, bipartisan support is still very strong and called for Biden administration to experience prolonged, protracted war. Really? In my personal theory and opinion, it's going to be long anyway to look at it, so I want you guys to keep on prepping, let's just go down, Undermining his message for support, that's what it says here, he says, members of Congress, bipartisan members of Congress support the war. Yeah, because some of them probably have their hand in the cookie jar when it comes to, again, a theory I have, so it's not misinformation, just a theory, that the war machines, they got their hands in. In other news, is King Charles III met Ukrainian troops and British Army, training Ukrainian too. Jailed Kremlin critic Navalny calls for restoration of the borders in Russia to pay reparations to Kyiv. Yeah. Then they got some more news. Biden and Zelensky talk focus intently on next month of fighting. Yeah, what they're, Zelensky kept pushing for airplanes. Again, remember, I posted comments and I posted proof in my videos, the links on Russia, literally other issues, which is but not limited to Russia threatening to use nukes if someone sends them airplanes. Yeah. Another thing is the chief of the Russians' Wagner mercenary group is now complaining about ammunition supplies. Wow, that's interesting to know, right? Former Russian President Medvedev dismisses Biden's visit to Kyiv. That's cool. Dismiss it. To me, I just think it's a waste of taxpayers' money again. It costs what? 8 hours, costs over $1 million to fly Air Force One. Think about that for the taxpayers. And then it says Biden was taking a calculated risk to go there. Yeah. We know nothing was going to happen to Biden. So what's there? That wasn't calculated risk. Donetsk region under constant enemy shelling. Officials say, oh, well, that's good to know, just because, My message is not to waste time, but decisive. Be united and take action as quickly as possible. And Nisita added, yeah. Shows Ukraine won't be abandoned, sends a very strong message of unity among Ukrainian allies. Really? Then President Biden Congress should be asking President Biden why he's talking for the American people when they should do a poll to ask how many true Americans, and it should be on the White House website, that support it, because I'd basically click no, I don't support the Ukraine war, because they're not explaining why. Just like why we went into Vietnam, that they said to stop communism, and communism is still in Vietnam, and that's the truth. Lithuanian president urges West to cross red lines and send military aid needs. Okay, well, let me just put it this way. Why don't the Lithuanian president and 29 other countries in NATO send aid to Russia, and Americans can try to raise the debt ceiling before we have any more problems, because we're writing rubber checks. Kyiv will be ready to respond to provocative actions by Russia around war anniversary. Really, that's good. By Ukrainian Air Force. Oh, yeah, that's nice. Do they have an Air Force? I wonder. What Russian pundits are saying about Russian? Yeah, I already read that. That was an interesting story about some German arms maker expects ammunition for anti-aircraft tanks to be delivered to Ukraine by July. Wow, July. Well, that's 5 months away. Wow. Maybe by then the war will be over because everyone ran out of ammo. You see, I can actually make some snarky remarks too, people. Beijing must not supply Russia with any weapons. German foreign minister tells Chinese delegation. Really? You can't tell China what they can and can't do. That's literally, literally. China's a big boy. China can handle themselves pretty good, After nearly a year of war, Biden's key visit was spiritual uplifting. Ukrainian parliament member says, oh, that's interesting to know. Ukrainian parliament. So they don't even, I don't know. Yeah. So what else are we seeing here? Yeah, no one cares about that. So we're getting to the top here. Yeah. So Biden landed in Poland, yada, yada, yada. 1 year later, Kyiv stands. Biden declared Monday during the visit, Ukraine stands, democracy stands. Really? I didn't think Kyiv was a democracy. I didn't think Ukraine was a democracy. See? Well, this is why I keep telling you guys to keep on prepping, because you got to prep like your life depends on it. NATO chief, Putin is not planning for peace as war in Ukraine heads into its second year. Really? It took us 2 years before we joined the fight in World War II. Think about that. U.S. among 34 countries calling for Olympics ban Russian and Belarusian athletes. Oh, really? Now, that's interesting to know. Zelensky warns of World War risk if China backs Russia and Ukraine. Really? That's interesting. You see, Zelensky's pushing for a World War III. He wants boots on the freaking ground. Literally, we're about 80% down in the news today, by the way. So that tells you right there what you need to know. Ukrainian foreign minister says not to overestimate Russian capacity to produce weapons. Yeah, you see? Russia's basically been stung by the eagle. And the dragon's just sitting back thinking, okay, what do we do? And then you got the Russian bear. Think about it. I'm not doing a religious thing here, but I'm just saying, think about it. They can produce the weapons fast enough by just telling everyone to go to the factories, you know. The Ukrainian army urgently needs large amounts of ammunition to counter Russian aggression. A gun needs a bullet. Really? Yeah, they're going to start probably limiting the American people's ability to buy bullets when they ship everything over from Federal and Remington and any other gun maker or ammunition maker in this country. They'll ship it all to Ukraine so they can say, well, we're helping, you know. Someone's going to have to pay, and this is the taxpayer. The taxpayers pay for it, more likely. It's a theory again I have, only a theory. And that cuts off the ability for mass shootings, supposedly, because it just cut off the Americans' bullet supply. Yeah, to me, a bunch of malarkey. Now, this one was a good article. It just came out 2 hours, 16 minutes ago. Ron DeSantis, thank you, Ron, for saying something. This is what I've been saying, too. Criticized American aid to Ukraine as an open-ended blank check and question whether the U.S. should be engaged in Russian conflict. Well, you know, supposedly, Ron, if you're watching this, we're basically preserving democracy. But then again, if this video ever gets out and you hear about it, you can understand that the American people like me, I may be weird in your opinion, but I do speak with the American voice by saying, what are we fighting for? Is it oil and gas we're fighting for? Or supplying for oil and gas, or is it grain? I mean, literally, it's all theories I have. He says, I don't think it's in our interest in getting into a proxy war with China. Well, you know what? We have to defend apparently Taiwan eventually. So, you know, getting involved over things like the borderlands over Crimea, DeSantis told Fox and Friends on Monday, referring to Ukrainian territory that Russia seized through military force. Well, you know what? Maybe, but let me just remind you, during World War II, FDR got another term because the war was raging on, and then he died in 1945, and then our beloved Democratic President Truman, Harry S. Truman, the buck stops here, had to take over. The remarks made on the occasion of Biden's surprise visit to Kyiv, some of the DeSantis' most direct comments in the war, right? Asked, what would a win look like for the U.S.? DeSantis downplayed Moscow's military action to date and said Russia was really wounded, more likely mentally wounded because of all the hype and hubbub over Biden showing up in Ukraine, and had suffered tremendous losses without acknowledging the role of the U.S. weapons. Really, military intelligence and aid have played in shaping the conflict. Really, so he's basically saying we shaped it. Really, that's nice to know, Ron. Russia, DeSantis insisted Russia's not a threat. Well, let me just answer that question in a second. On the same level as China, they're both a threat, people. This is why I keep telling you to prep, because World War III happens. They'll ration your food. That's a theory I have. They'll ration your ammo, and they'll draft your sons and daughters for war. Well, a theory I have. Why? Because Russia and China and North Korea are all threats because they all are working with each other and they want to crush the West because of the West's possible capitalism. Supposedly is what my theory says. It's only a theory I have, but think about it. If you're Russia's going into NATO countries and all that and steamrolling, that's not even close to happening, DeSantis thinks. I think it's showing themselves to be a third-rate military power. Third rate? Russia's still a superpower with nukes. So this is why Tildor said that a blue wave won't save you. Yeah, because think about what's happening. Nuclear war and the banking collapse is coming down the pipe soon enough. Then it says Zelensky hails importance of Biden. Yeah, because Zelensky's milking the United States with with our blank check theories. Ukrainian commander in the front lines of Bakhmut thanks Biden for support. President Biden has left Ukraine but not delivering a unifying message. Really, I don't think we're unified. I think we want answers on why the taxpayers are paying so much money for this. Biden's visit to Kyiv shows Ukrainians the U.S. is with us in this fight. Yeah, because we're writing a rubber check. Yeah. So if you excuse me for 1 second, people, I'm going to tell you that I don't think we should be in this war, and I have to speak with all Americans. I'll be right back. Bathroom break, and then I'll continue. And hello, Dinky. I speak with the Americans tonight. I said to me, hey, Dink, how you doing? I speak with all the Americans tonight by saying Americans need to realize I don't support the war. Other family members don't support the war. It's us. We need strong leadership in the White House. We don't have that. What we got is someone who's basically turning around, and if you open your damn chili hole, look what happens. We get more crap. Excuse me for a second. So here I'm going to tell you what you can do. You can prep. Prep like your life depends on it. Some would say it's not worth prepping, but I beg to differ because North Korea is already saying if we do drills, we're screwed. Hey, Dink, how you doing? Hey, cuz, love you too. Compare this coffee cup to the other one. It's bigger. Love my big coffee cups. Even Dinky knows that. So what's that tell you? I ask all you Americans tonight to ask the question, what are we doing in Ukraine? Is it so my beautiful cousin Dinky, who's beautiful as hell, who's barbecued like a lobster, by the way. I'm not going to show you the pic. I don't have permission to. Beautiful as she is, barbecued like a lobster. And yet, I asked the question just like her. What are we doing in Ukraine? Are we securing Ukraine for food sources? That's a theory I have. Is it because we can get cheaper natural gas to Europe and America? The gas prices are going through the roof anyways, you know. I mean, I don't know what it is where my cousin Dink lives, but up here it's pretty damn expensive. Well, just the gas stock, you know. And then if you take it for what it's worth, love you too, cuz. Then you got to ask yourself, who's benefiting? Like I said, my theory is the warmongers and the energy agencies are, you know, is this going to get into World War III? More likely it will. But with me and Dink and Dinky's husband, my cousin, we're too old to fight. We could, but what's the point? What are we fighting for? You see? That's the question everyone asks, you know. And yet, you know, we are talking about all these headlines. And instead of basically going in and breaking down 3-minute videos, I decided to make a bigger video today before I get on my podcast to ask the question again of why? Why are we there? I mean, look, China can aid Russia. It's not a crime. But apparently to the United States, it's a crime. Thing is, what are we doing? We're aiding Ukraine. And so is 29 other countries at the taxpayers' expense. You know, that's one of the things I say all the time. I use the word taxpayers' expense. Now, my cousin Dinky would wag her finger and say taxpayers. Let me put it this way. She's a taxpayer. So is my cousin. So is everyone else that works in this working country. Taxpayers, and I speak for the taxpayers, want to know why the debt ceiling isn't raised and why we're writing a blank check to Ukraine. Yeah. And yet we're the only one giving the most aid, whereas every other country can't. I say it's time for NATO to step up their financial donations and donate to the cause. Hey, Aunt Tara, if you're still watching, look at this. Look at her sleeping on the bed. Yeah. So, what does that tell you, people? It tells me that Americans literally need to prep like your life depends on it. Now, I know some people say, and I got something to say about the rest of prepping, okay? The rest of it's going to be about prepping tonight, okay? I'm going to go over my comments real quick with Tildor tonight because I haven't done that in a while. And Tildor says, once again, Rita's spot on. I wish I could find her on Rumble. Yeah, I already gave you the Rumble. You can also go to my About Me page, go down to the bottom to the links, and you'll find Rumble. You'll find Spotify. You'll see Twitter. You'll see Instagram. You'll see all my things for my channel, San Juan Island Prepper. So I'm not, and I've given him links before. So technically, the problem is with Tildor is he needs to look at the comments. I've given him links already to it. And Tildor says, there you go. Keep your ass on a swivel, my fellow shitbirds. The time to drag your feet is not now. Exactly. This is why I'm here. Get your shit nuggets in a row and prep like you have a pair of peeps and fight the good fight. Rita rocks. Well, where's the one where you're talking about? Oh, yes. Once again, Rita's spot on. I wish you could find her in Rumble. The American people need her more than ever. Well, thank you, Tildor. I'm doing everything I can from various platforms. First Amendment. Yes, well, again, we're not going to go to the First Amendment here, but you get the idea. This really pisses me off. This is my favorite YouTube channel, hands down. An attack on Rita is an attack on all of us. YouTube is discriminating. That's a fact, Jack. Rita keep making prepping videos and have the best non-BS out there. Well, think about it. On my Rumble channel, I talk about non-BS all the time. I actually break it down, and I always ask the question. But since I'm doing this video live for you right now, I ask the question, which is for you, the commenters later, when you comment after this video is up and loaded. And I'm not trying to belittle or say anything negative. I'm just asking, what is the taxpayers paying for Russia or Ukraine? I mean, what are we getting out of it? I mean, we got to have something, Thing is Biden says America stands by Ukraine. I'm sorry, but unless Cousin Dinky, who's with us tonight, says she supports Ukraine, I won't support Ukraine because I don't even know why the hell we're in Ukraine. School's back in session because her teacher has been in the principal's office. Prep now. Prep. Yep. Rita is the most talented administrator on YouTube. She's well-schooled and numerous topics regarding prepping, but not limited to. She's always 20 steps ahead of us on our prepping endeavors. I would like to grant a huge shout out to her communication and preparation. Excellent. Way to go, boss. Thank you. Keep your head on a swivel, Missy. Prep like you have a pair. The proof is in the pudding. This is not a nothing burger. Lock and load. School's back in session, and I'm the substitute. Toto, I feel we're not in Kansas anymore, so prep like your ass is on fire. Holy shit nuggets. I watched the lame State of the Union speak last night. Rita just blasted a good rant that was a hell of a lot better than Potato Head last night. Good work, teacher. Thank you. And it goes down the list. I've answered these 12 days ago, but point is the comments are there. And the comments, Tildor is completely right. There is not going to be a blue wave. It's going to save any of us. What's going to happen is we're going to be all screwed. And that is a complete thorough fact. So to me, I'm going to save this and close my tab out. So basically what's that mean exactly for you all is, you got to ask yourself, what are you prepping for? You're prepping for food costs, inflation, recession, and your cost of things. If you've seen my video the other day, I will go through real quick on some of the topics I tackled in the last 4 days, which was, one was, all about the Ukrainian war and how we're basically digging ourselves in for World War III to, the prescription drugs, again, prescription drugs were pretty good. I talk about what will happen during a nuclear war. It's something you got. And one of my favorites, which is now picking up momentum, is canned food shortage. Think about it. I went to order some food on Amazon, and it said it was going to take 4 to 6 months. 4 to 6 months. 4 to 6 months. 4 to 6 months for food. 4 to 6 months. Yeah. Think about it. 4 to 6 months for food. Yeah. To be delivered. Tells you right there, the supply is high and the demand is low. So I'm going to check my my poll. I did a poll. Shall I test out the following radios?
So you
2
say-
votes.
So you say you're saying stuff that I'm not around.
I don't know what the hell you're talking about, Missy.
Oh, you said something about not being a blue wave, which I agree.
No, I said what Tildor said, people. Okay, just pay attention because Chloe doesn't understand freaking politics. She's sometimes dumb as a box of rocks. I said, as Tildor said, even if you have a blue wave, it's not going to save you from the fallout of nuclear war and World War III. That's what I said, quote unquote, to you, the American people. I man my YouTube channel all night long trying to get you the news that's important to you all. And that is something that is important to you all. And that is the American people need to realize that, as a prepper, I support prepping, but this is getting to the point where you won't be finding groceries soon. And that is why Target went to pickup only, like Walmart. Stores are starting to do pickup only because the supply and demand isn't there for ordering. People see 6 cases of ramen cheap, they go and suck it up, and then they go to Amazon or eBay and try to scalp it for more. So technically, this is what's going on. People think that the preppers will pay more, and we preppers aren't going to pay more. We preppers are going to say, well, to the scalpers, go ahead. And then on top of all of this, another thing I want to share with you is, and I have something that's very important to share with you, is I just got confirmation out of probably, and by the way, I've emailed every CB radio store that has a website in America. They all ship, by the way, and only 6 of them emailed me so far, basically stating that it's going to be very difficult for, quote unquote, the abilities to set up a base station in the house without an outside antenna. Think about it. The American people, the government, let me just say this, it's a theory of mine, wants to control communications. I mean, literally, if they can find a way to make it so it doesn't work, it's fine. I mean, literally, Higgins and I were browsing antennas again. We found a couple antennas that I'm going to try next for the police scanners, because I believe in the police scanner being a great tool for prepping for the needs of emergencies. Why do you think I took my scanner with me on my road trip to go get a bed? Because of it, but at the same time, a lot of Americans out there need to realize that you need to have a prepping plan for inside your home. And then if you do go out, say Chloe goes out to Anacortes, Mount Vernon, she has to have a bug out bag in case something happens. So she has to carry the groceries in a backpack and in a shopping cart, and then a bug out bag just in case you're out and about and you can't get back home, because your bug out bag should have everything you need: food, water, communications, and a scanner to know what's going on, because of it. And probably a case of batteries. Make sure you got plenty of batteries and you can listen to your, and I believe Higgins has just emailed me with, again, but not limited to, a watch video, blah, blah, blah. Oh, no, that's something else. My family back in the day subscribed to this place in their little town in Oregon, small town. Won't tell you the name of it, but they have their own thing called Something Neighbors. I downloaded an app a long time ago. they wanted to know more about where I lived. At the time, I was taking care of my family's home while they were in Vegas. So they told me to have this app, something Neighbors, and it will tell us about mountain lions and everything else. And so they emailed me like, "Got to watch this video." I don't want to watch that video. I don't even live there. I was thinking of living there, but my family stayed in Oregon. But you know what? It doesn't matter because we all have to be independent and prep. And right now, that's the key word: survival. I mean, literally, think about it from my own theory. They're going to start controlling your ammo eventually and your food if they have to, basically, to get boots on the ground in in um, in Ukraine, and that is pretty bad, you know. So to me, you got to ask yourself, what's going to happen to the people? Now, while we're talking, I'm going to go over today's plans on my planner to make sure I have everything caught up that I need to. Rumble's done. Spotify is not done. I got to get on to Spotify eventually due to the fact, you know. So this is one of my prepping tools is my Amazon basic planner. It's too damn small in my opinion. Let's see. Chloe's got an appointment on Tuesday. Okay. Okay. So, anyways. There's only a couple items I need to do today, I think, and that's why I'm looking at this now, is to get it over with. Okay, so tomorrow I got emails to do again. Apparently Chloe's therapist wants me to waddle out tomorrow to see her. I don't know. I don't know if I'll be going or not.
You don't have to go.
Anyways, I got my habit skills I'm working on. So, anyways, Thursday and Friday I haven't filled it in yet, so I don't know what to think about. But you know, this is something I keep telling you preppers to do for administrative duties. This is compact, so basically it's a small journal for retirees. This journal or planner, I should say, is bigger because it has the slots needed for, but not limited to, other things. Yeah, let's see here. And this has the hourly planner. I think this is hourly. Yes, the hourly planner. So you know, so I had to fill out weekly reviews and you know, so when I do this, I'm doing this. I still got prepping spreadsheets to do for preppers things, but one thing at a time. You know, this video had to be made. So a lot of you preppers out there are saying, "Well, what's the point of prepping? Why prep?" Because in case grocery prices go up again, which will, because you know they can't contain the prices. I mean, soon eggs might be $12 to $15 a dozen. You can pay $12 or $15 a dozen. This is where some people wish they had a chicken coop, and they haven't. Now, me, I try to avoid eggs, you know. So this one is 15-minute increments. So I guess I still got to fill in a couple administrative duty things real quick, but you know. There we go. This one has the 15-minute increments. So as you can see, I'm still filling in the time slots this week. But, this comes in handy for appointments and so forth, and it helps me out immensely trying to, I manage Chloe's appointments. I also manage Chloe's tasks and stuff. That's why it's filling up. Chloe needs to get things moving along. And yet, she still can't control her temper. But anyways, for some of you out there, okay, here we go. Did I do the weekly review for last week? No, I didn't. So I didn't fill this out yet. Weekly review. Okay, so anyways, this is the weekly review. And, yeah. So, anywho, we will finish the weekly review up, not with you guys present. That will take me 10 or 15 minutes due to the fact I got to think about what I accomplished. I think I accomplished a lot for you preppers out there, but at the same time, you got to ask yourself, what are you planning to do? And me, I think the personal question is for you all is, how much are you willing to do to save your own life? I mean, pricing of food's going up. Every day we get no answers of the debt ceiling limit. All we see is more people grouching about why we're in Ukraine. I mean, literally, to me, it's time we get some answers sometime. That's a theory I have. They have to answer why we're in Ukraine. Instead, people are saying we support the war. I think the fates in the war machine, this is a theory I have, is literally turning around and literally saying to us, as in people, that we have to literally accept, quote unquote, World War III or nuclear war. And we didn't even want to be in this. We don't need to jeopardize our soldiers. There are soldiers that are going to Ukraine, in my theory, if we do go to World War III, has to ask why we're going to war. My opinion, it doesn't add up. Yeah, it doesn't add up, okay? So the American people want answers. That's the thing. I mean, they're entitled to answers, right? Right. So people sit there and say, well, what are we prepping for? Why are we prepping? Honestly, I don't know. Except for we have to. That's the thing. We have to. I mean, literally, I manned videos last night. I was trying to watch a movie. And you know what happened? I literally got up, used the bathroom, got back down, checked my videos, make sure they're all uploaded. And then a news article came out, this or that, and I had to get back on it. Eventually, I got to my show and finished it. Then I put in another movie. Then I realized that today is President's Day, and I was like, oh, crap. Holiday. No mail, nothing. All right, cool. Now, what is there to say? I'll tell you what there is to say. We have to prep. And we have to prep like our life depends on it. Because we don't know what's coming to the future. That's what I said in my videos. We don't know. We don't know what the scientists theorize there will be a nuclear winter. Scientists theorize an EMP will wipe out our electronics. We don't know. So to me, to stand around and say, oh, we got to do something. Proof's in the pudding, people. And that is, right now, we got the black swan. It's about to fly. We are seeing between Russia and China, possibly, China supplying weapons. North Korea threatening to nuke us because we're doing war drills, and they think it's a threat. War drills are just threats. We're not planning to invade North Korea. However, with the United States being so secretive of Ukraine, no offense, I would put in no offense to Kim Jong-un or Kim Jong, his sister, then they might have intel that we don't have, because, the thing is in war, they'll target citizens. Fortunately, maybe Kim Jong-un or Kim Jong wants to, but the main problem is why. And that is, they may have intel. Russia might have intel. China might have intel. The thing is Americans, Russia and China probably really do not want to harm United States citizens. They want to harm more likely military assets, but at the same time, no one knows what China and Russia and North Korea want. The problem is Americans sit there and they speculate. Whatever happened to open transparency with the government? And the government comes clean and says, oh, we shot down, supposedly the other balloons we shot down were ham radio balloons. And apparently the ham radio balloons, this is what's going on over in the radio forum, is the ham radio balloons didn't have the FCC approval and stuff. So they were in a flight path and got blown up. I mean, literally, we spent $400,000 to blow up a ham radio or an amateur radio balloon. I mean, literally, think about that, people. $400,000. So far, we shot down 4 balloons with 5 missiles. That's $2 million total in missiles that we're not going to see again. That's the taxpayers. And they say, oh, it violated sovereign airspace of Canada and America. Sorry to say, but I think we need to think about the big picture here. I mean, why are we prepping? We're prepping because of something happening, whether it be natural disaster, nuclear war, cost of inflation, or a depression. And yet, the black swan's about to fly. And yet, you guys have heard from Tildor that a blue wave ain't going to save you. It won't. A blue wave ain't going to save you 2 years down the road if there is a blue wave, due to the fact that, think of what the Democrats are doing. They're writing a blank check, and yet they're not raising the debt ceiling on the frickin' debt. And yet we're writing checks. $500 million we pledged today. Yet, no offense, President Potato Head can't even guarantee that Americans will get a debt ceiling increase. And yet he can't guarantee that NATO is going to spend more than $500 million. I mean, so far my numbers come out to about $350 billion was donated to Ukraine in the first year of the war. And now we're supposed to be donating more money in the second thing of the war. Think about it. Chew on it. Because frankly, a lot of preppers out there, they don't want to prep. They say if a nuclear war happens, they want to be eliminated from the planet as fast as possible because they don't want to deal with a post-apocalyptic world. Maybe true, maybe not. But for the sake of the argument, I'd rather live if possible, But then you got some religious guy like my father-in-law saying, oh, well, at least we'll go to heaven. Yeah, if you're the guy who wants to go to heaven. I frankly don't think so. I think it's basically a bunch of bull crap. And bull crap it is. So to me, think about it. I want you guys to prep. I hope Tildor will give us some answers eventually what his theory is. And I say theory in the comments on, but not limited to. I say give it till September when the debt runs out. Between July and September, I say the end of September is when we really got to basically get our everything put together. Because, every day, we as preppers need a timeline to work with. And that is something I use my planners for all the time, is planning. Because as preppers, you got to ask yourself. And remember what I said. When you're buying canned goods, you need to buy 1 or 2 cans at the store, even though it's a little expensive. And then try it out and then buy it in bulk if you can. Like I've been doing. I just found out that chicken and dumpling chunky soup's pretty tasty. Yeah, pretty tasty. So you guys think about that, I don't want to be on too long because, as you know, I have a little problem I got to take care of this morning, which is prepping before I go, I will tell you. Let me just look. I have my tab open again because you guys sit there and you wonder. So in my About Me page, there's a link to donations. If you find this content to be interesting, you can donate to my donation page if you wish. No pressure. The preppers list is there too. For you preppers, just right click and add to the preppers list. You can find the About Me page. Now, my Spotify is what I was looking at because episode podcast 26. So I got to do a podcast episode 26. So one of the things I need to do is do my episode 26. I've given you a few days of breaks so you guys could catch up on the episodes, because frankly, we don't have any. We need to build the podcast for those who don't want to use up the bandwidth on their computers or phone service for, but not limited to, video of me. So technically I've done podcasts, which are very short podcasts. You can listen to the whole thing. They're under 30 minutes. And, we have podcasts 1 through 25. And I think podcast 26 is going to address today, just to share with you if you guys are interested in knowing. It's going to talk a little bit about, but not limited to, why we're prepping again and what's going on in the world and why, Americans, and this is what I wanted to get at for the last part of the video today, is why a lot of people are not prepping. And that's because, again, they think Uncle Sam's going to bail them out. Yeah. And, but when they have all these restrictions, sign up for this. So you must call the welfare office once a year to get your phone and your free internet, restored for another year. Okay, so they do that. But then they're basically told that they get basic food stamps. Basic food stamps for me is what? $14 to $25. That can buy me, 4 gallons of milk? Yeah, go figure. So you spend 2 hours on the hold just to get your phone service restored for another year. 2 hours a year. My phone's this. And then your internet. I don't have the free internet because I don't believe that the government should be paying for it. It's a luxury item in my opinion. But then again, a lot of things are luxury items in my opinion. And I was talking to Higgins about things the other day, but and then I want to share with you, again, the podcast is also going to be talking about communications again. Higgins has sent me links to GMRS radios we need to test. Current GMRS FRS. So we need to line up some purchases for some more radios. We might upgrade from the basics to another basic and see if this works. I need Higgins apparently to look at, but not limited to, range. So these claims, they go to 32 miles on open area like the desert. These go in town about 3/4 of a mile. So think about it. Higgins and I need to test out radios. So Higgins and I are going to start purchasing radios to test. I'm going to test out some FRS, GMRS too. But GMRS, basically, a lot of people have asked about base stations. Yeah, you can hook it up to a base station converter as long as you're not using too much power. But again, they're talking about antennas. Apparently there's an antenna problem. I will be addressing that in the podcast. But my point is you need to have backup communications just in case. So my point is you guys need to listen to the podcast about communications and why we're prepping. A lot of people aren't prepping. They don't care. They're a lot of people are worried about the debt ceiling being raised. Others are worried about World War III, and others are worried about nuclear war. And to me, there's 3 camps here. You got the preppers for nuclear war and banking collapse. Me, Kildor, Pee Wee, Higgins, Fanny. I'll throw in Dinky and Corey just because. And then you got the other side, the freeloaders that basically think government will just basically either take our food and give it to them because, well, that's what they think should happen. Or you got the second set of people that will bloody murder people for their food if they're unarmed. Or third, they will literally turn around and quote unquote not worry because they figure any way to look at it, they'll find food somehow, even in the Great Depression, like they were stealing. So to me, you got to basically look at it as no one wants to prep. And four, they don't have the finances. That's the thing. They're not budgeting and they're not managing. They're complaining to the government that the price of food is so high, but that's all they're complaining about. Why? Because that's all they have to do is complain. So to me, I think it's time for you all to realize that the American people are tired of, us. I mean, have you seen the preppers on YouTube? You got one that's basically on nuclear war. You got one that's on pricing on food, and you got another who's not even talking about prepping anymore. It's like he's giving up the fight, And to me, I'm not giving up the fight. What I'm doing is I'm telling you got to keep prepping. I mean, literally, if you don't prep, you're going to be in more trouble than what it's worth. So I hope that you all enjoy this video. I'm going to take a break and then I'm going to get on Spotify because I have to, quote unquote, get my news out there. Yeah. So I got to get my news out there. So on Spotify, on the grounds of what's going on with prepping. I mean, my prepping video, my podcast, I enjoy more because I am not on video, but I'm also telling it like it is. And, one of my former moderators said, quote, unquote, well, no one wants to listen to a podcast. Really? That's funny because people do listen to podcasts. And then they said that people don't want to, people don't, quote, unquote, want to do Rumble. They don't want to watch Rumble. They all want YouTube. But, YouTube is slowly failing people. And the only reason why it's failing is because of freedom of speech. It's a free platform and people can make money. But, the point is Rumble's a freedom of speech channel where, you can, same with Anchor and Spotify. So to me, that's why I chose those platforms in particular, because I wasn't going to not leave you hanging on what's going on in the world. So to me, I want to share again with you that I want you guys to check out my Spotify account. It's on the About Me page. Go down to links. I will be making episode 26 shortly after I use the restroom and a few other things. But I want to share with you that prepping is a must for survival. This ain't a red team, blue team, capture the flag thing. This is the real deal. And to do that, you need to basically keep on prepping because it ain't going to get any easier. I mean, there's people out there that don't know what's coming. There's people out there that want a nuclear bomb to incinerate them and they can go to heaven because they don't want to live in a post-apocalyptic world where everyone's fighting for food, water, and stuff. Thing is this is why I keep telling you to prep as long as possible. Check your nuke maps, check your areas, check everything, prep accordingly, and get her done. I mean, literally, get her done. And that is the main thing. In the meantime, I hope Tildor and Fanny, when Fanny comes back, we don't know what happened to Fanny, literally will basically turn around. And, I'm doing this. I'm actually doing this also to keep you guys up in spirits on the grounds that, Mother Fanny is not around right now. I can't tell you what's going on with Mother Fanny, but currently Mother Fanny hasn't even made a video in over a month. So to me, I'm worried about Mother Fanny. So Mother Fanny does play catch up. She'll realize eventually and she'll know in an email that I'm worried about her. But in the meantime, for you preppers out there, you need to keep on prepping, Now, so far, I will tell you on my Rumble account, I haven't found out anywhere where there is any comments. I've found 0 comments so far. So, to me, I want to let you know that I have not found any, mind you, comments yet. I look through the comments. I find no comments. 0 comments. I'm hoping you guys will check out the content I've given you on Rumble and, basically given your complete comments on it, because frankly, I'm really wanting to see some comments come in. I know I get comments over here, but my point is I just want you guys to keep on prepping, and to get ready, because it ain't over yet. So if Tildor would be nice enough, if he's watching this video, to give me a comment, not on Rumble, but let me know time frame. I can actually incorporate it into everything else. They're just theories we have when the black swan will fly. It's just better to be safe than sorry. So in the meantime, I got to get out of here. So please add and subscribe. Please post comments, leave feedback, suggestion, hit the like, subscribe button. So some fun for your family, including your dogs and cats and bunnies, your service dogs, your service bunnies. Hit the bell notification, the thumbs up button, the subscribe button. And keep the comments nice is all we ask. And please look for episode 26 on Spotify. Thank you so much, and God bless you in everything you do.